all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. All of it. All of Israel was already accounted for. If a sojourner shall sojourn with you, with who? The congregation of Israel. All the congregation of Israel. I don't, bruh. You can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up.
Hello, welcome to Religious Insight. In this video, Godlogic is debating a Hebrew Israelite who ignores every verse that proves him wrong. This is a new movement that is going on or that is coming up in US these days, where Black Americans believe that their origin is from Israel, where they have no root, they had no descendant who is connected to Israel. They were not born there, they had no root at all connected to Israel, but they believe that they are Hebrew Israelite by connection. Let's watch this video to find out exactly what happened.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to get your point on what you thought about the Israelites.
Well, it depends on your doctrine. Do you reject that Gentiles can be saved?
Yep. So I'm of the belief that the Israelites will go back to their land and kingdom that was promised to them and their forefathers. I believe that Gentiles will be there in a certain role, but as far as the promises that were made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I believe the Israelites will be going to their own homeland.
So you don't believe that the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob includes the Gentiles?
No, not from what I've seen.
Okay. Let me get your thoughts on something then. I'm going to show you a verse. Now, obviously with Abraham, the promise given to Abraham, God promises that in him all the families of the earth will be blessed. You would interpret that to say that those are the families of the Israelites who are scattered across the earth. Is that right?
So I believe in the context of that conversation, the nations coming from Abraham's seed would be blessed. If you're talking about Genesis 12, I believe.
Okay. So those would be ethnic Israelites to you that are scattered?
At that point, no. So the promise to Abraham in Genesis 12 would have been to his seed, the nations in his seed.
Okay, good. So everybody's going to be blessed. The original promise to Abraham that God makes includes everyone, not just his physical seed, but also the nations as well.
You said that again? I was kind of confused with how you had said that. Sorry.
That when he says that in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed, that blessing includes the nations, the non-Israelites.
No. So if I believe you're talking about Genesis 12, just to.
Yes, Genesis 12:3. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So when he spoke to Abraham, I believe Genesis 12, he was telling him at that point that all the nations coming from his seed would be blessed. So when it says in him, in his seed, all nations will be blessed, I'm assuming you're saying that when he says in your seed, he's saying essentially by your seed or through your seed, everyone else is going to be blessed. Is that what you're kind of saying? Just so I know your stance.
That's what I would say. Yeah, that it's by his seed that all the families of the earth will be blessed. Like now here, obviously in Genesis 12, it doesn't mention the seed yet. It just says in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. So obviously it's through him that the rest of the families in the world are going to get blessed through the seed, through what comes from Abraham.
And so the only reason I kind of explain why my stance is that it's the nation specifically in Abraham's seed and not a sense of all the nations being given that blessing, because you would agree that Isaac and Jacob were given that same promise.
Yes.
Yeah. In chapter 18 and chapter 22, just in case anyone else didn't know that.
Yeah, go on.
Yep. So with that, because as we know kind of throughout the Bible, that the nation of Israel was promised to kind of be as the multitude of stars, like the sand of the sea and things like that. So that's why I'm saying that promise was to their specific seed line. So Abraham was given that promise about the nations in his seed. Same thing with Isaac, as I believe Sarah as well was promised that she'd have nations and kings. And then again, Jacob was given that same promise that in him, the families in his seed. And to confirm to you why I, again, believe that if you flip to Acts 3 with Peter, just if you want to follow along with me. So Acts 3, I believe it is 25. Let me just double check. So Acts 3 and it is verse 25. So you are the children of the prophets and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying, in Abraham and in thy seed shall all the kings of the earth be blessed. So that's kind of why I'm saying that was a specific promise to the nations coming out of their seed line, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then again, it was confirmed there.
But it says, just really quick, it says, and in your offspring and in your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So saying that to Abraham, demonstrating that it's from his seed, it's from him, his seed, that is going to bless all the nations. And specifically in this context, this seed that brings the blessing to the rest of the earth is Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah, as I said, yeah, I completely agree with you. I believe that Jesus was that blessing, and then through him, everything else came, as far as the what was promised to David as well. But kind of going back to what I was saying just with Abraham, because with Abraham's seed, as we know, he had Ishmael and the sons of Keturah. They were all given their blessings in Genesis. Esau was given his blessing with Jacob as well. But then, like I said, Isaac and Jacob were given that specific blessing of their of the families in them being.
Well, it's not the families in them. It's that in them the families will be blessed. So, and it's in the specific offspring, meaning Jesus. So it's through one seed, through one offspring, is going to bring about the blessing to all the families of the earth, not just the family of Israel.
So just to confirm, I'm understanding what you're saying. As far as the blessing, you're saying that all the nations would get. What is that specific blessing that you're saying that was blessed to all of those nations?
The promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The kingship, authority, salvation, justification, peace, restoration, all of it. All of the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob goes not just to Israel, but to all the families of the earth that cling to the God of Israel as well.
So as far as you're saying that they would be given the land and the peace and that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Mm-hmm. Okay, so with the promise of the land, are you able to demonstrate that anywhere where all the nations will be promised that land?
Yeah, so that's the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So there's a passage in Deuteronomy 29 where the strangers, the Gentiles, the non-Israelites are sworn into the covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay.
And that'll be in that will be verses I'll put on the screen too.
Appreciate it.
That'll be in Deuteronomy 29. We're starting at verse 10 to 13. It says, "You are standing today, all of you, before the Lord your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel." Right, so all the men of Israel are accounted for, right? Mm-hmm. Your little ones, your wives, right? So those are all the women in Israel and all the children in Israel. So all of Israel is accounted for, everybody. Mm-hmm. Then it says, "And the sojourner, the stranger," but that's obviously a non-Israelite, "who is in your camp, from the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you may enter the sworn covenant of the Lord your God, which the Lord your God is making with you today, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God as he promised you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." So we see that non-Israelites are sworn into this same covenant, the same covenant that he gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, so with this, I disagree with you just for the fact that I believe reading verse 11, the strangers that were being referenced there, because I have the King James word a little bit different, saying "thy stranger," my translation.
It's okay.
But when it says in your camp, from the hewer of wood and the drawer of water, we would agree that those are servants to those Israelites, correct?
Sure, but there are people that are serving in the camp of Israel, but these are non-Israelites, right?
Yeah, like I said, don't disagree with you there.
Okay.
So as far as if the Israelites were traveling and they had their different belongings or their different things, when they did have servants, it would make sense that they would be traveling with those servants who they. But
these weren't just servants. These are also like the Israelites can be servants of some of these strangers, right? Like they can sell themselves to a sojourner if they wanted to.
I completely agree that Israelites could be servants to other people, but just as far as as you just established that the men of Israel were addressed, and then it says, "Then you're strangers in the camp, from the hewers of wood and the drawers of water." So it's clarifying that they do work for the Israelites, correct?
Oh yeah, sure, they do, but it's not just them. They're not the only ones who are working in there. But the point is that these strangers, these non-Israelites, are sworn into that covenant. Right.
So again so with the swearing, because I know that this was from earlier in the chapter saying that it was kind of a back, or I wouldn't say back, kind of a rehashing of the covenant that was made in Mount Horeb. And so the only reason why I'm saying that it couldn't be other Israelites who made this covenant or were sworn into it is because when it says that
You said other Israelites?
sorry, I might have said that wrong, but other nations that weren't Israelites, for them to have made an oath with God, because at the point when they made that covenant in Horeb, when we know Moses had sprinkled the blood and all the people had to say that, hey, we are going to enter this covenant and we will do what the Lord commanded us. We agree that it was the tribes that were sprinkled and made that oath, but there weren't, or at least we don't have an account of any other nations making that oath. And to say that, I say that because
Strangers were with them.
I like I said, I don't disagree with that strangers were there, because as we know that they had servants with them who may have been
and
we know
and
that
converts, right?
Well, not at this point. Like I said, I don't want to move too quick, but just on this point of, because when it states that he made it with their fathers, if their fathers weren't Jacob and Isaac, they couldn't have been mentioned in that verse 13, correct?
No, I disagree, because notice how it says, you are standing today, all of you, and then it specifies who the all of you are. That's all of the men of Israel, the wives, the children, and the strangers with them. So, and then it says, so that you may enter into the sworn covenant. So he's talking to everybody there.
Yeah. So like I said, so when you say he's talking to everyone there, so he says that you should enter in the covenant with the Lord your God and into his oath, which the Lord made with you this day, that he may establish for a people unto himself, that he may be a God unto you, be a God, and that he said unto you and swore unto your fathers. And so the only reason why I'm saying that again is specifically Israelites, because when it says at verse 13, when it goes that he may establish you for a people, if you ever see the start of verse 13, he says to establish you as a people.
Yeah.
You would agree that in chapter 27, I believe, 27 and 19, I think it was.
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know how you can say that the strangers are not a part of this when he says that you are standing today, all of you, and then names the sojourners as among them standing there. And then
like I said, I completely agree with you that strangers were there. Like I said, me and you don't disagree there. I completely agree with you. That
so how are we disagreeing that the sojourner is sworn into the covenant when it literally says that?
Because what I'm saying is, from what I'm reading, I believe that the strangers there were servants of the Israelites who obviously were there. So like I said, if you had a servant, you wouldn't have abandoned your servant somewhere going to where the Lord's taking you. The servant was still your servant at the end of the day. So what I'm saying is, I believe that when he's saying that all the people there, you're saying your family is there, your servants who work for you are there, but the oath that was made when Moses sprinkled the blood and everyone had to swear that they would do what the Lord commanded them, I don't read any other nation making that oath that they would do what was commanded in the covenant.
Well, so this is where again, this is where my confusion is. When we have the plain reading of the text right here, my brother.
Yes.
You are standing today.
Yes.
All of you before the Lord. So they're all present before the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's present before the Lord, standing before the Lord. The sojourners aren't just servants of the Israelites. These are converts, people who have joined to Israel and believe in Yahweh.
Are you able to demonstrate?
So notice how, for example, the law in regarding the Passover, was that just for Israel or was it also for the sojourner with them?
Like I said, as far as the law, does the law incorporate the strangers that would be amongst them throughout their land? I don't disagree with you there, but I'm just saying when you go to verse...
I'm sorry, just really quick. How does that not, if the law applies, why would the law apply to the sojourner if they're disbelievers, if they're not believers and they're just...
Because imagine this, that you had the land of Israel, you're an Israelite, correct? You have different merchants who come to the land, you have people who come in there for work, things like that, correct?
And it talks about the sojourner that wants to partake in the law and the covenant and the blessings of Yahweh. So that's I'm
on the same page as you. So say, for example, you have a sojourner, somebody who's come in to do 6 months of work and they leave, you have another sojourner. You still have a general law for sojourners in the land, right?
No, I think you're missing what I'm saying. Okay. I'm not saying for example, a stranger comes into America and so they have to abide by the laws in America, even though they're a stranger to the land. They got to follow the same street light laws and yada, yada, yada. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's what I was saying, but what are you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, the Bible says for the sojourner that wants to partake in the Lord. So these are people who convert and believe in Yahweh. He makes the law not just for the Israelites, but also for the sojourner who wants to believe and partake as well. You know what I'm talking about?
If you could just double check, I don't want to make any assumptions, but if you just maybe show me what the law you might be referencing, because I don't want to make any assumptions.
Hold on, let me pull it up, man.
Okay. So I had a question for you as well when we get a chance, but I'll just go through this quickly.
Let's see here. Let me pull up the verses here. Let's get the verse. Let's get the verses. So we got Exodus 12, and then we got also Exodus 20, verse 2. Let's see. All right. Let me kind of zoom out. Hold on 1 second. By the way, guys, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you guys don't forget to smash that like button like you fear disobedience. Why is this not? What is going on? That's 12. So why is this not coming up for me? Okay. Bro, my stuff is tripping right now. Hold on. It's not bringing up my verse. Let me try this page. Exodus 20. Bro, what in the world is happening? It's not letting me bring up my verse.
That's cool, man. If you're having technical problems, because I wanted to ask you a question, and then maybe if you could sort it out, we could go back to it if you have time. Otherwise, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man.
Hold on a second, brother. I can't let this go. When Logic say something, he gotta show it.
I respect that.
You feel me? I can't just let this slide, man. Okay. All right. So Exodus 12, let's do 47. At least all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. Talking about Passover. If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Passover to the Lord, right? Let all his males be circumcised. Then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land, but no uncircumcised person shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who sojourns among you. So would you agree that the sojourner who, and it says, who would keep the Passover, who wants to observe it, they're making the choice to, hey, I want to do that. And then it says, let all his males be circumcised. So they're making the choice to circumcise themselves. And then it says, then they may come near it and keep it. And he shall be as a native to the land. That this is a convert. This isn't just some servant, but this is actually someone who has come across them, who sees the ways of Yahweh and wants to convert.
So that was 1248.
1240, yeah. Yep, 1248.
Yeah, so there, because just knowing the law as far as stranger, so you'd agree that stranger is anyone outside, but as well as it could be a guest.
It's a non-Israelite.
So you're saying it's a non-Israelite there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we disagree, because going up.
That's crazy.
Like I said, I'm just going to explain myself, and then
that's wild. You're saying that this stranger is a non-Israelite, is an Israelite. That's what you're trying to argue right now.
If you just, like I said, if you just let me get my point out, and then I'll let you kind of challenge it. But verse 43, right? So verse 43, it said, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance for the Passover, and there should no stranger eat that Passover.
What's a stranger?
Verse 43, if you just check that.
What's a stranger? Yep.
So again, a stranger it could be a non-Israelite, it could be a guest. So like you have a stranger who's someone just coming over your house, right?
It's not an Israelite. Where does the brother? Okay, can you show me where this is what I need you to do, and then we can just go ahead and just wrap it up here, because I'm not gonna lie to you, losing my patience when we have verses that are right on the screen, and then I feel like you're playing games with the verses.
Like I said,
do you have a verse that says that an Israelite is a stranger of an Israelite?
Are you saying that the Israelites have not been referenced to be strangers?
Of Israel?
No, I'm saying, has an Israelite ever been called a stranger?
Not of Israel.
What do you mean of Israel?
An Israelite is not a stranger to a fellow Israelite. You'll never see that in the Bible, unless maybe I'm off.
So when you have Israelites saying that they're strangers to the land, or they're strangers to other places, but I'm saying
strangers to other places, not strangers to Israelites. So notice how in this context, this is within Israel, and then there's talking about a stranger among the Israelites. So this will be a non-Israelite.
So before I kind of give my side of it, because I just want you to clarify. So you're saying from verse 43, when it says a stranger is not to eat the Passover, that's a non-Israelite, correct?
That is correct.
But you're saying every man's servant that is bought for money, who's circumcised, shall eat thereof, right? But a foreigner and a hired servant and a hired servant, shall not eat thereof. So the foreigner, the hired servant, and the stranger who aren't supposed to eat in verse 43 and 44. What is the difference there? Just so I know where you stand.
So the foreigner is a non-Israelite.
Okay.
The foreigner is a non-Israelite.
So a non-Israelite and a hired worker can't eat.
Unless, verse 48, when it comes to the foreigner, the stranger, unless they convert, right?
So with verse 43, now I'm going to explain why.
Wait, can we agree that there's a conversion because you didn't answer this earlier. Can we agree there's a conversion taking place in verse 48?
Because like I tried to say, in verse 48, I'm saying that stranger who sojourns with them, and it's to be someone who's homeborn and not someone who's a stranger who just sojourns among them. What I'm saying is the law, when you had Israelites who were from foreign lands and they would come, because as all the males had to go to Jerusalem for the Passover, it was saying that any males who were from other countries, whether they were strangers as far as they weren't circumcised or things like that, they had to be circumcised to eat the Passover.
So they're converting, correct?
Yes. So you had different proselytes of Israelites, but I'm saying
can you show me where an Israelite is called a stranger of an Israelite?
Yes. Are you familiar with the law of servants?
Where? In Leviticus 25?
Yeah, you're
talking about Leviticus 25?
Yeah, so if your brother, though he be a stranger sojourner, so
it doesn't call him a stranger. It says if he be like a sojourner.
What version are you reading?
It's ESV, but I'm talking about the actual Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it's
the Hebrew. So the Hebrew is what you're saying doesn't call him a stranger. Correct.
It says though he is like a stranger. Let's go to it. Leviticus 25. What verse is that again? 40 something?
35. 35 in chapter 25, verse 35.
I don't think it's 35. I think 35 is when God calls them strangers to him. Am I mistaken?
Leviticus? Yes, it's 35.
Oh, it's 35?
I just flipped to Leviticus 25, verse 35.
All right. Bet. Leviticus 25, 35. Oh, yeah, you're right. Awesome. Thank you for that. So it says, and if becomes poor one of your brothers and falls into poverty among you, then you shall help him like a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you.
So he says that he may live with you, because like I was saying, strangers are sometimes out of town guests, as we know even with Christ and the apostles, when they had gone to the Passover and they had to go to the house.
But it doesn't call, I know what you're saying, it doesn't call them a stranger though. It says that they're like a stranger. They're like a sojourner to them. That's how you're supposed to treat them, like that.
Right. But that's what I'm saying to you. So going back to Exodus 12, what I'm saying is essentially a stranger and a foreigner and a hired servant. So non-Israelites can't eat of it. And I'm gonna show my reason why. But
just really quick, can we agree that Leviticus 25 does not say that an Israelite is an actual stranger to another Israelite, but you treat them like you would a stranger, right? If they become
as
poor.
I said, the English and the Hebrew, because when it says like a stranger there, I don't see the word like for Hebrew in that passage. So although, like I said, that says like a stranger, that is not the word like a stranger in the Hebrew. So that's what I was trying to say to you before. Even in the King James, which I have in front of me, it says, though he be a stranger or sojourner, that he may live with thee. And that's what I'm saying. Just understanding throughout the Bible, stranger can sometimes just mean a guest, someone who's from out of town or from another country.
But it's always a non-Israelite. That's the point. Just like what the Hebrew just said here, just like what the ESV and the others say as well. And even I understand even what the King James said, because it says though he be a stranger, even interpreting that in the correct way, because it says one of your brethren, so he's not a stranger, but though he be a stranger, it's as if he were. That's how you're supposed to treat him. So not only does the Hebrew, but the other translations are in sync with this. You have verse 48 that talks about the strangers who are able to convert and take part in the Passover, and you have the Deuteronomy 29 that has the sojourners there being sworn into the covenant. I'm gonna go ahead and let this go, man. We've been on this long enough. Yeah, I appreciate you coming up, bro.
I was able to ask you that one question though about the because I know you mentioned the Trinity quickly. On
another talk. You can come back.
Oh, that's fine. I appreciate the conversation, man. But yeah, like I said, Israelites scattered abroad. I'll definitely try to come up the next time you have one of these, man. We'll chop it up again.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Peace. Clear as day, man. Clear as day. Our peoples hate the scripture, man. Muslims hate the Quran. Hebrew Israelites hate the Bible. Same spirit, different skin. Same spirit, different skin. How do you do that? How do you do that? If a stranger shall sojourn with you and would keep the Passover to the Lord. Sojourn with who? If an Israelite shall sojourn, travel with you, he's talking to the Israelites. Matter of fact, look at, guys, you can't make this up. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. All of it. All of Israel is already accounted for. If a sojourner shall sojourn with you, with who? The congregation of Israel. All the congregation of Israel. I don't, bruh, you can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up, man. Let's see who else we got.
Alright, welcome back, guys. That was very amazing and very eye-opening video. Share your thoughts, what you learned in the comment section. Share this video with your friends, your family. Subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos like this. If you have way more patience than me, to be honest with you, that is a straight up fruit of the spirit at work. These people are never going to admit they are wrong in the first place, no matter how hard you press them. They hold up too tightly to their illusion than they hold tightly to the truth. I'll keep on saying it. Whenever you try to reject Jesus, look how hard you have to fight and lie in order to sound convincing. You lying is enough indication that what you are holding on tightly to is nothing but delusion. Because if you must lie to defend a God, then that God is not worthy of your worship. What is all this confusion regarding whether the Hebrews and Christ were black or white within the minds of many blacks in America, most especially? We can be sure this is not the case. For Lamentation 4 verse 7, which answers these questions clearly. Not that it really matters when it comes to personal salvation, which is offered to all in Christ. In Christ, we are neither Jew nor Gentiles. Race does not matter in this dispensation. All that matters is your faith in Jesus and nothing more. Your race does not guarantee your eternal salvation. What you're trying to do is nothing but human understanding of what you think can bring you salvation. That is not what brings you salvation. Your race and your connection to the Jewish people does not grant you the salvation that you so desire. It is your faith in Jesus alone, and also the belief that he died and resurrected. That is what guarantees your salvation. I guess the people who make all this movement just need the feeling of being special. What I understand is tough, and I mean no disrespect. How come African Americans are Israelites? In what way? In what word? Israelites are people from the region, but at least have origins from the part of the world. This is another deception of Satan, trying to sway people away from the truth, and it is glaring, but they are not seeing it. It's easy to read the Bible and understand. It is more difficult to give meaning to what has meaning already, and this is where their confusion comes in. Thank you guys for watching. Share this video, subscribe. We'll love to see you in the next episode.